Okay, well, welcome to video 4 for the class. In this one, we're going to cover editing and labels, how to label your features. And so let's go back to our map. And one thing I'm going to do is we're going to be working on a different set of features. So I'm just going to get rid of the roads for the moment because it takes them quite a while to build and slows things down. And that's another thing you can do while you're working in a map. If you have a large data set that you're not currently working on, you can just uncheck it, and that way things will go a little faster. The next thing we're going to do, since I'm working with labels, is go to the data frame properties again, and starting with Arc 10.1 or maybe 10.2, they included what's called a new label engine called Maplex. And you can choose one or the other. I've found Maplex to be more versatile, and you can cause labels to display under certain very specific conditions and orientations. So that's what I'll use here. But you can always switch back and forth and see if one or the other meets your needs. Okay, so the first thing, well, let's get rid of me here. Let's stop the video, move that out of the way. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a point data file. And so you go to a folder, in this case it'll be vector because it's a vector file, and I right click and go to new, and I'm going to create it as a shapefile. A best practice is actually to put your data into a file geodatabase, but for the moment, I'd recommend if you have time taking Columbia's geodatabase class to learn more about them. Geodatabase is essentially a capsule that'll hold all your vector and even raster files in a more compact and organized way, but I'll do it as a single standalone shapefile. And then you get a dialog coming up, so let's call this point demo. And it's a point feature. We assign it a coordinate system, which will be the same as the one that we're using for the map, which is zone 11N. And then OK. And it automatically adds that to the table of contents. And now I'm going to right click and we're going to add a couple of fields to our shapefile. And so you'll notice there's no data in it, and we want to add a field. So add field, and we're going to call it label. And so this is just logical. You can label a data. You can label your data with any field that's in it, but if it says label, that'll make your life a little easier. And then we make it a text field, and we probably don't need 50. Let's just give it 20 characters. And we're also going to identify these by their unique features. So let's add another field, and let's call it class. So we'll separate them into different classes, and we're just going to make it up. So let's just let's make that 5. That can be an integer. I just made it text. In this case, it doesn't make any difference, but you can give it a number, 1, 2, 3. In fact, well, okay, let's do that. We'll make it a short integer, and then we just give it a regular number. Okay, and now let's go to editing. And so you right click and you edit features and you start editing. Now, if you watched my first two introduction to Arc map. Then we cover this here, but we'll do the same thing. Now, I'm not creating anything special here, so I'm just going to put in some random points. And so for this, we'll minimize the catalog, and now we go to Create Features. We lock that in place, and notice that when you highlight the field here, your potential drawing tools come in down here. We just want to create a point. So let's put one here. And you have two choices. You can add your attributes, which is the fields here. We can add our label and we can add our class directly here. And also, if your attributes tab isn't showing up, you can go to Editor and then more editing windows and click on attributes, and that'll be grayed out if you're not in edit mode. So if you don't see the attributes tab here, then go ahead and open it up in editing drop down. So then FID is automatically put in, that's grayed out. So label, let's call that well, there's a little road. Well, let's call it Lions Reservoir, and let's give it a class of 1. I'm not quite sure what that's going to mean, but let's go ahead and do it. And now we'll do a second one, and we'll put it right on the highway. And we'll give it a label of Highway 108, and we'll give it a class of 2. And let's do even another one. Maybe we're coming up with points for roads. We'll give it a label of NF. I can't even read that, but let's go in 308. And we'll give it a class of 1 or 2. Let's just create a couple more like this. So you can edit these, as I was saying, in attributes as you do them, or even if you close out of a editing session, you can then right-click, open your attribute table, and start editing, and then you can just enter them directly into the attribute table if you're in editing mode. And we'll add a few more. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to move this out of the way into my other screen. If it goes, and it's not going, there we go. Let's put one here at Miwok. We'll call this Miwok Village, and let's give it a 2. And we'll do one more 1. And let's call this ridge line, and we'll call it 1. Okay, good enough. And now we'll save our edits. You can actually stop editing. It'll challenge you. Do you want to save your edits? But I just do save edits. Things are a little slow here today. Things are really slow. Okay. And let's save the whole project again. And let's stop edits. Okay. So those are pretty tiny little symbols. So just for us working on it, let's change it to a larger symbol. And now, if you remember from the previous video, well, first let's label them. So you right-click and you go to Properties, and you choose Labels. And the label field, we will choose Label, though it can also be class if you want, and it can actually be both. And you do that by using an expression, and I'll show you that. Then you choose the typeface, so Arial, let's go with that, and let's go with 12. Let's make it bold, and we just, we have to check label features in this layer, and we hit apply to see what it looks like, and that's not bad. You can actually see those. But if we're on a topo background, we're gonna have to get out of that. If you're on a topo background, let's bring up the topo map. Oh, you know what? We're off the topo map. Well, this will slow things down a little bit. Let's bring in the online. There we go. Add base map. When I brought in yesterday's topo map, it only covered the northeast section of Tuolumne County, and I'm now west of that. And so the topo map didn't show up, but the hillshade did, because that covered all of Tuolumne and Calaveras County. And so now I'm going to the online topo base map. Well, that's kind of weird. No? What's going on there? Well, anyway, this actually kind of demonstrates what I'm after. You'll notice that because of the varied color backgrounds, the labels don't stand out quite as well. So one thing you can do is, let's right-click, let's go back to Properties, and we're still in Labels, and now you go to Label Styles and Properties. Oops. Sorry, you don't go to Properties. You double click on the, well, Properties should have done it, but in any event, I'm double clicking on the preview here, and that will bring up, I hope. No, it didn't. Oh, symbol properties. Yeah, don't worry about a thing. I'm a professional. There we go. And let's go to Edit Symbol. And all I'm trying to do here is create a little halo around the label. So you get two contrasting colors, which should cover most of the background. It'll make it stand out. So in this case, we're going to make it kind of small. When they get too big, they look a little weird. So we'll just make it 1 point, and we'll choose a halo of white. Oh, it is. Okay, it's already white. So there we go. Sometimes you can choose a light yellow. We just okay our way out of all this. And apply. And notice how even in the darker, this helps it when the background is dark or whatever, it gives a little bit of white for contrast. And you can fool around with different contrasting halos. I find either white or a light yellow kind of works. Okay, let's save. And now we're going to do the same thing we did with highways. We're going to give a different a different symbol depending on its class. So now we go to Symbology, we go to Categories, Unique Values, and we ask it to show the unique values of the field called class. And there's only two. I only created 1 and 2, and so let's give one an orange star, and let's give one a red star. We'll make this red. Okay, so notice red, green. The red doesn't quite work on that, but you could fool around with that. Now let's just hit OK and get out of it. Once again, save early and often. And I think I'll wrap it up for this one. In the next video, I'll cover finding points by their X and Y values, their coordinate values. And then, and also one thing I told you I was going to do in the first video was to go over downloading from the CalAtlas site. And say in my last video, I think I'll show you data sources. Okay, thanks, and see you in the next video.